He's just come straight at me again. Oh, how intimidating is this? Yes! Hey. Hey.
You'd expect to find dangerous snakes in the jungle or the desert, right? But what if I told you a venomous snake could ruin your next beach vacation? Dangerous snakes lurk in every corner of the world, from the treetops to the seas. Comforting, I know.
Well, I'm out of here.
It's not just sharks and jellyfish who cause trouble in paradise. The olive sea snake glides through the water with ease thanks to its oar-like tail. And they have enough venom in one bite to send you to the emergency room. If for some reason you have a death wish, you can visit an Indonesian island surrounded by water overflowing with them. Manuk is an uninhabitable volcanic island home to birds, barracudas, and tons of olive sea snakes. Scientists are stumped as to why so many of them have taken over its coastal regions. Sea snakes love coral reefs both for shelter and because they're basically an all-you-can-eat buffet.
You son of a bitch, I'm in.
The reefs around Manuk are relatively undisturbed, making them a sea snake oasis. With all the food they could want and the privacy of such a remote island, this creature thrives here. An added bonus is that the snake has almost no predators. But a weird-looking oddity with slick black skin and a metal hump on its back sometimes disturbs its habitat. Yes, I'm talking about scuba divers.
Of course it is. I can tell.
Someone exploring Manuk might become surrounded by snakes, trying to get a better look. Olive sea snakes are curious by nature, and their approach is usually far from threatening, although some divers would say otherwise. The snakes have been known to appear aggressive or hostile toward divers. Researchers think this is because males might be confusing divers for potential mates. If one does happen to swim a little too close for comfort, don't make any sudden movements. They only attack when they're provoked or threatened. And FYI, they can even bite underwater. At 5 millimeters, their fangs are quite short. Don't get too comfortable, though. One bite is still deadly. You could suffer from paralysis, muscle spasms, and respiratory arrest before meeting your demise. Olive sea snake bites have happened, but fortunately for you, they are very rare. Their venom is mainly a tool that helps them digest food. They inject it into their prey, and an enzyme breaks down tissue, making it easier to consume. So, in an epic battle, who would win? Land snakes or the dozens of species of sea snakes? On average, sea snakes do tend to be faster. Their aerodynamic bodies are built to glide seamlessly through the water at speeds up to 3.6 kilometers per hour. And their venom is more potent than their land-dwelling counterparts. As for size, sea snakes are relatively small. Fully grown, the average sea snake typically ranges from 1 to 1.5 meters long. I doubt you'd forget an encounter with this snake. They thrash, hiss loudly, and could even rear up and strike. This is a lowland copperhead snake. Their gray-black body blends into the grass, so watch your step. Found in the lowlands of southeastern Australia, one untreated bite from this snake could put an end to your life. The lowland copperhead snake isn't even the scariest serpent from down under. Australia is home to approximately 170 snake species, including all of the world's deadliest. From lightning-fast bites to snakes that won't let go, all the snakes on this list could kill you. But which snake would do you the most harm? On second thought, I might just avoid the continent altogether. These are the top 8 deadliest snakes in Australia. At number 7 is the vampire-like common death adder. Their fangs are their most notable feature at 8 millimeters in length. You can identify a common death adder by its unique triangle-shaped head, and then you should run away. Before the introduction of antivenom, about 60% of bites to humans were fatal. Inflating our number 6 spot is the mulga snake. The mulga snake is found throughout the continent. They thrive in a variety of environments, from forests to deserts. When threatened, the mulga will inflate its body and form a wide curve with its head. If it bites you, it may hang on and chew while injecting its venom, and their venom will swiftly attack your blood cells, muscles, and nerve cells. Yikes. They're not the most toxic snake, but they can inject up to 150 milligrams of venom in one bite, compared to an average tiger snake that produces up to 40 milligrams of venom. Speaking of which, the mainland tiger snake is our number 5 pick and could be coming to a home near you. They typically dwell in creeks, dams, or swamps along the southeastern coast of Australia. But they are also attracted to cities and farms because those environments provide a buffet of mice. Because they live near humans, mainland tiger snakes are responsible for the second highest number of snake bites in Australia. This bite also happens to have a mortality rate between 40 and 60% if left untreated. The Aussies have nerves of steel, I tell ya. I wouldn't be able to sleep at night. The speedy coastal taipan is our number 4 pick. The taipan prefers a wet, temperate climate, but despite its name, it can also be found inland. The coastal taipan is a little bit neurotic. They are always on alert, and because of their lightweight body, they can strike incredibly fast. So fast, you might not even notice you've been bitten until it's too late. And if you do get bitten, you've only got half an hour left to live. That's pretty bleak. At number 3 is the discreet western brown snake. With its light brown coloring and slender body, this snake is more than happy to blend into the grasslands. Their fangs are only 2 millimeters long, so their bite is painless. But that doesn't mean you should take being bitten by the western brown snake lightly. It compensates by delivering 3 times more venom than its eastern cousin. Speak of the devil, the eastern brown snake comes in at number 2. You can find the eastern brown snake pretty much anywhere in Australia, and they're responsible for nearly 60% of fatal snake bites. On paper, the eastern brown snake is the second most toxic venom of any terrestrial snake. Great. However, they can only produce a little bit of venom per bite, so the mortality rate is only around 20%. Finally, some good news. Are you ready to meet not just the deadliest snake in Australia, but the world? I don't think I am. Okay, deep breath. At number 1 is the inland taipan. They typically dwell in the deep, cracking clays of food plains, but they're also found in nearby dunes and rocky outcrops. They might look unassuming, but one snake has enough venom to kill about 100 people. To make things worse, the venom contains an enzyme that increases the rate of absorption into your bloodstream. If you get bitten by the inland taipan, you only have about 45 minutes left on this sweet earth. Luckily for all of us, this snake lives in a secluded part of Australia and rarely comes in contact with people. But I'm not taking any chances. This is the world's deadliest snake, and its venom can kill you in 3 hours. So, what are your chances of survival if you are bitten? What does it do right before it attacks? And could you outrun it? Mind your step as we take on the black mamba. This snake is the true champion of the snakes when it comes to how lethal they are. If its bite is left untreated, the fatality rate is a frightful 100%. You heard me right, dead, you're done. And in the black mamba's natural habitats of South Africa and Swaziland, this is obviously a problem the people have had to deal with for generations. To compound the issue, there is little to no access to antivenom in countries like Swaziland. That's a major problem, considering how fast-acting its venom is. In as little as 30 minutes, you'll start feeling its effects. It'll start with you losing the ability to talk. Without antivenom, you could be comatose in 60 minutes and dead in 3 to 16 hours. Why is it so lethal, you ask? Just 15 to 20 milligrams of venom is a lethal dose, but scarily, the black mamba can inject up to 14 times that amount in one attack. So if you find yourself in the unfortunate scenario of staring one down, remember these tips. A black mamba usually avoids confrontation and will only become aggressive if it feels threatened. Let's be clear, I'm not saying it's a good idea to pet it, that would be stupid. The reason why it's getting all antsy with you could simply be because you're blocking its path. Also, look out for its defense display. It will raise its head off the ground, flattening its neck to appear bigger and start flicking its tongue. You'll also see its mouth open, ready to strike. And if you look closely, again not suggesting that you do this in real life, you'll discover how the black mamba got its name. The inside of its mouth is black and bluish in color. Your best option is to slowly back away and hope it will too. It's likely it's just defending itself and will want to move on just as much as you do. And what if it doesn't back down? There are myths about how fast a black mamba can move, even outpacing a horse. Sure, they don't just have a lightning-fast strike, they can also slither at incredible speeds. But we need to bust that myth of it keeping up with a horse, although that would be a sight to see. The average horse can gallop between 40 to 48 kilometers per hour. In comparison, black mambas can move at about 11 kilometers per hour, but they have been observed going over 19 kilometers per hour. They're not even close to moving as fast as a horse, but it's not bad at all, considering that at their slowest, a black mamba could still outpace a human. But don't worry, the chances of you being chased by one are slim. They only prey on small mammals like mice and squirrels. If you are in the unlikely situation of having to outrun a black mamba, try not to stumble or fall over. No pressure. What's more terrifying than grabbing a tree branch and realizing it's a snake? It has got to be this flying snake heading straight for your face. Found in the forests of South and Southeast Asia, the flying snake is the only known limbless vertebrate that can fly. How are these snakes able to fly? Why would a snake need to fly? And what can we learn from flying snakes? Trust in me, and I'll bring you the answers. Wow, that was creepier than I planned. Sorry, guys. There are 5 known species of Chrysopelia, or flying snakes, and 4 of them can flatten their bodies into a ribbon-like wing and glide between trees. Flying snakes can grow to about 1.2 meters long. They eat birds, lizards, and other small animals, but you will never find this type of snake on the ground, making them harder to spot. Their name is a bit misleading as they aren't really flying. Technically, they're gliding through the air. And their flight speed and travel distance depend on how high a branch they launch from. The longest distance a flying snake can glide is about 7 meters. That happens when it's launching from a height of 75 meters, and the fastest it can speed along is 10 meters per second. An elongated tube-like body is not ideal for flying. So, to get airborne, a flying snake rotates its ribs forward and backward to flatten itself out. It's kind of like how a cobra opens up its hood. This allows the snake to ride the air and use gravity for acceleration. If you were lucky enough to see a flying snake up close, you'd notice that as the middle of its body flattens, it gets twice as wide. You might even see the bump of its heart under its skin. Sometimes you can even see undigested food lumps sticking out of its flat middle. A little less cool. But the tail remains rounded to get a good grip on the branch it's about to launch off. This is its usual launching off position. From here, the flying snake plunges the front of its body downward. Its head starts arcing upwards and its belly faces the side. It soars up and forward to rise above the branch. Reaching out into the air and arcing away from the branch, the snake will finally release its grip and swerve its belly 90 degrees toward the ground. This snake is now airborne. But sometimes a flying snake skips this artful launch-off. When fleeing a predator, it will slither sideways and nosedive straight off the branch. Can't say I blame them. But this type of takeoff doesn't let the snake travel too far and makes for a wonky flight. And then there's the challenge of staying airborne. To do this, the flying snake seems to be tapping into its basic reptilian instincts. It slithers through the air, like its cousins would on the ground. But it doesn't just undulate on a horizontal axis. It also makes small waves on a vertical plane throughout its body, making more stable flights over much longer distances. But why go through all this effort to fly? No one is entirely sure why these snakes took to the air, but if the behavior of other gliding animals is any indication, it's likely just a matter of catching prey, escaping predators, and good old common sense. I mean, if you're a tree dweller, you're better off learning to glide between the treetops. That's way more efficient than climbing all the way up and down trees. But could you get killed in a venomous snake air raid? Of all the species of flying snakes, C. ornata is the only one temperamental enough to strike at anything that moves. But no flying snakes have ever killed a human. People bitten by flying snakes report mild symptoms like pain, drowsiness, or headache, and usually recover fully within days. And luckily, there have been no instances of flying snakes landing on human faces or other body parts. If anything, the snake stands to lose its teeth and get an infection from biting a human. But these fascinating creatures have triggered scientific innovation. The flying snake's movement mechanics are inspiring the design of insect-sized drones. And robotics engineers are studying the flying snake's combination of horizontal and vertical undulation to help them build robots that can climb through rubble and up the sides of buildings. This could help search and rescue operations. No, this oddly immobile reptile isn't looking for a belly rub. Who's a good boy? You are! It's the hognose snake, which survives in the wild by tricking every predator around it into thinking it's dead. If we were handing out awards for most over-the-top performance by a fanged animal, we'd have a definite winner here. Why is the hognose always doing impressions of a cobra? Do people really keep these things in their home? What stomach-churning extremes is it capable of to convince attackers it has passed into the great beyond? Although it can vary in appearance and size depending on where you find it across North America and central Mexico, there is always one distinct physical trait no matter where you see one. It's this upturned snout from which the hognose gets its name. When it comes to digging burrows beneath rocky earth or sand, nothing beats a built-in shovel to help with the heavy moving. But it's the above-ground theatrics the 3 species of hognose snake, some of which can grow over a meter in length, is famous for. When cornered by a fox, raccoon, or even another snake, such as the cottonmouth, it has no problem borrowing survival tactics from other animals. First comes the impersonation portion of the defense routine. Like a cobra, it has a wide neck that can be flattened to create an ominous-looking fleshy hood. It will strike a fearsome pose, puffing itself out while hissing and faking a few aggressive moves. For a real cobra, this is a sign to its prey that they're in for some serious trouble. For the hognose, it's just posturing. Despite being equipped with fangs and venom that can immobilize prey such as lizards, rodents, and toads, a hognose attack doesn't mean instantaneous doom for its victim. Because its fangs are located near the back of its mouth, rather than a piercing bite, its prey should be more worried about being chewed on. Compared to other snakes that release deadly venom directly through their fangs, the hognose's trickles down the outside, requiring it to open wide and keep its prey in place until its milder venom can kick in. This means as far as self-defense goes, it's at a major disadvantage. Thankfully, violence isn't the answer to everything. This snake has mastered the fine art of thanatosis, or the ability to play dead. Grabbing a page from the Possum Strategy Guide for faking your own death, a belly-up approach is taken as a last resort if an aggressor isn't scared off by the initial physical performance. It's used by animals that can't rely on the traditional fight or flight blueprint and is something the hognose has added a few, how should we say this, signature touches to. Starting with some awkward slithering on the ground, it inevitably results with a flip onto the back. With its mouth open, the tongue will make an appearance, hanging out in dramatic fashion. The hognose goes that extra step by vomiting on itself. If that weren't disturbing enough, it's not above throwing some of its own feces into the mix. To make matters worse for any would-be attacker, this feces is often laced with bufotoxin, which it's immune to thanks to the toads it eats being full of the stuff and a natural tolerance being built up. The vomit, the stench, the toxic poop. It's usually enough to send anything looking at the hognose as a meal on its way, and fast. Despite all this, hognose snakes are still kept as pets and can live up to 20 years in captivity, more than double its lifespan in the wild. Because the odds of them feeling threatened while living the terrarium life are low, odds are good their owner will never witness their snakes playing dead talents, which is quite disappointing. And hognose venom might be effective on animals, but it's almost harmless to humans and rarely even injected if a bite does occur. It's the exact opposite for pythons, some of which are known for swallowing humans whole. Unfortunately, these snakes are still a threatened species in some areas due to habitat loss and the introduction of invasive species into their ecosystems. They're nature's greatest pretenders and aren't above smearing themselves in their own filth. You might be on the lookout for snakes in the grass, but it's the snakes in the trees that are the most dangerous. Yes, you heard me right. Don't look up unless you want to come eye to eye with the venomous boomslang. Its irresistible saucer eyes might mesmerize you, but just one bite can drain all the life from your body. How did the snake get such an unusual name? Does the boomslang even have a killer instinct? And if so, how does it get its tiny mouth around your flesh? You might be wondering about the namesake of these treetop dwellers. Can you guess what the name boomslang means? It's tree snake in Afrikaans. They're most at home slithering smoothly through the treetops of East Africa's lowland forests. The boomslang has a teeny head and cartoonishly large eyes. You can't deny it, they're kind of adorable, especially if you're into their psychedelic lime green and black coloring. Make no mistake, however, boomslangs are all business. Their camouflage hides them amid the foliage. An unassuming frog, lizard, or bird might think the snake's body is part of a tree branch. It's all part of the plan. But in the animal kingdom, assumptions like that turn you into boomslang lunch. Boomslangs are shy around people, and they're not known to be aggressive. Despite their docile demeanor, boomslangs have no problem defending themselves. Their fangs sit at the back of their mouth and point inward, but the snake can open its jaw to a whopping 170-degree angle. All of a sudden, those rear-facing fangs are too close for comfort. Could a boomslang really kill? I mean, look at the little guy. I don't think he has a bad bone in his vertebrae. And herpetologist Dr. Carl P. Schmidt didn't think so either until he found himself on the receiving end of a boomslang bite. After he invaded a baby boomslang's personal bubble, he continued recording the symptoms that led to his very bloody and gruesome death. Dr. Schmidt took his commitment to the scientific method to a whole new level. That is, if you can decipher what he wrote in his blood-soaked notebook. Ugh. Boomslang venom is extremely hemotoxic, meaning it demolishes red blood cells and makes it impossible for blood to clot. Cue your internal and external bleeding. Imagine hemorrhaging from your gums, nose, and pretty much every orifice in your body at the same time. On second thought, don't go there. Too late? Quick, think cute baby snake with anime eyes. Ah, that's much better. If a boomslang bites you, you will not have a quick and painless death. The venom acts slowly, so it could take up to 5 days for you to bleed out completely. With all this talk of death, what about life? Boomslangs definitely have game. They can even mate in trees. The females lay their eggs among vegetative decay. The baby snakes hack at the inside of their shells with their egg tooth. Once they emerge into the world, they're a force to be reckoned with. Even a baby boomslang has enough venom to kill you. If the boomslang doesn't scare you, and with a face like that, how could it? Check out our video about its much uglier cousin, the hognose snake. Slithering nonchalantly through the treetops and using their hemotoxic bites to kill people and animals is what boomslang snakes do. And that's what makes them crazy creatures.